And it's always interesting to read or see things that have been written thousands of years ago, as they give us a glimpse of how things were and how we have progressed to be where we are today. But although many do just this and have helped pave the way for historians, there are many writings, artifacts, items and books, usually created hundreds if not thousands of years ago, that leave us with many unanswered questions and speculations, some of which even make us question our entire past. Now granted, over many years it's easy to lose sight of what some things may have meant, as the times change so quickly, and things mean different things today than what they did say 1,000 years ago. But I'm talking about the ancient items and writings that do not make any sense, regardless of their time period, such as a map that shows things that had yet to be discovered, and stone carvings that supposedly suggest humans may have walked alongside the dinosaurs. Get comfy, because this is going to be a very in-depth and thought-provoking video, and as always, I hope you enjoy. 13. Like a representation of Antarctica, which wasn't discovered until 300 years after, which brings us to the next mystery. It seems to show Antarctica not only before it was mapped, but before it was covered in ice, something that as far as we know has never been the case. Now of course, it could have been a one-off mistake, but in 1965, Professor Charles Hapgood published an interesting theory in his book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. He claimed the sources Race had pulled together for his map predated 4000 BCE, before any known developed languages and civilizations existed. His theory implied there was an ancient civilization which had the technology to accurately navigate and chart the globe, possibly with aerial capabilities. Hapgood also proposed a polar shift in 9500 BC that may have displaced Antarctica, moving it hundreds of miles south, and as a result changing its climate from semi-temperature to freezing. You're probably thinking that how can we tell if the continent shown on the Peary map is actually Antarctica? Well, we cannot for certain, although it certainly looks like it is. There's also another map in existence that was drawn in 1531 that appears to show Antarctica as ice-free, with flowing rivers and only recently discovered mountain ranges. So maybe there is more to this. Is it possible Peary Race and the other cartographer based their maps on documents from prehistoric civilizations, with the technology to travel and chart the globe before they were wiped out or disappeared? Is this the work of ancient aliens, or just a simple map error? I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Rohonk Codex. This ancient text has baffled researchers for hundreds of years. It was discovered in Hungary in the 1800s when Count Gustav Batthyány donated his entire personal library to the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. The codex was initially thought to be an old Hungarian script from medieval times. However, it was completely indecipherable. The codex contains 448 pages of text, and those who have studied it believe it also has characteristics of Hindi and an unprecedented amount of symbols, up to 10 times more than in any known alphabet. Each page appears to have a watermark, which looks like an anchor in a circle that is within a 6-rayed star. The watermark has been dated as around 1529 to 1540 AD. As well as the text, the codex also contains 87 illustrations depicting battle scenes, landscapes, and religious icons of several different religions, including the cross, crescent, and swastika. It's theorized this indicates an environment where Christians, pagan, and Muslim religions coexisted. It does seem that the Rohonk Codex is a genuine ancient text that to date has not been deciphered, and who knows whether it will ever be fully understood. Maybe in many years, when it finally is, we will be faced with some interesting answers to humankind's ancient past, and the many mysteries that still holds. Codex Gigas. The Codex Gigas means giant book in English, and is the largest surviving medieval manuscript in the world. It's also known as the Devil's Bible due to a large illustration of the devil on the inside, and is thought to have been created in the early 12th century. The very large wooden-bound folder contains 310 pages that are made from animal skin, thought to be donkeys. And according to legend, the codex was created in a monastery in what is now the Czech Republic by Herman the Reclusive. Its last entry was in 1229, and it's thought the book moved around over the years before it was taken to Prague in 1594 as part of Emperor Rudolf II's collection. Then, during the 30-Year War in 1648, it was taken as booty by the Swedish army and kept in the Swedish royal castle in Stockholm. In 1967, a fire broke out there which badly damaged the codex, although it was saved after it was thrown out of a window, during which some pages went missing and have never been recovered. It's also reported to have injured a bystander when it fell on them. After the fire, the codex was housed in the National Library of Sweden and was put on display to the public, where it still resides in a vault-like room behind bulletproof glass. There are many legends surrounding this fascinating manuscript, with many believing it was written in a single night, although in reality, historians estimate it probably took around 20 years to create. Its contents consist of the complete Vulgate version of the Latin Bible, and also contains remedies to treat diseases, a calendar, and other local records, including how to catch criminals. What's fascinating about the codex is the 50cm picture of the devil, that is directly opposite a page about the kingdom of heaven. This appears to be showing the contrasting images of good and evil at the time. But what makes things eerie is the fact the pages that precede the devil have become very blackened, thought to be caused by these pages being most frequently turned. Another legend surrounding the book claims that Herman the Reclusive was a monk who had broken his monastic vows and was sentenced to be walled up alive. In an attempt to avoid this harsh penalty, he promised to create a book in one night that would glorify the monastery forever. Unable to complete it in one day, he prayed for help, not from God, but from Lucifer, and in return for his help, the devil's picture was added to show his gratitude. Who knows if any of the legends are true? To this day, mystery still continues to surround the codex, and is said to be insured for $8 million, although its estimated value, due to the secrets it holds, has made this book a priceless item. The Ica Stones. This is not an individual case, like the Piri Reis map or the Rohonk Codex, but in fact a collection of over 15,000 supposedly ancient stones, engraved with diagrams depicting a wide variety of subjects, from simple designs of flowers, birds and fish, to much stranger illustrations of dinosaurs, mythological beasts and monsters, as well as medical procedures such as caesarean sections, acupuncture, heart transplants, and technology such as telescopes, flying machines, and maps, all of which have supposedly been carved before many of those things were ever thought of. The stones are made of andesite, a dark brown or greyish intermediate volcanic rock, and were discovered in Ica province in Peru. However, the stones are the subject of much debate, since how could someone carve a dinosaur into a rock years before they were even discovered to have roamed the Earth, unless they were roaming the Earth alongside primitive humans. This is why some believe they are just an elaborate hoax, while others are convinced these stones are evidence of an ancient human race that coincided with the dinosaurs and possessed advanced technology like telescopes and UFOs. But the discovery of the stones is also very controversial. It's said in 1966, Peruvian physician Dr. Javier Cabrera was given a stone by a friend for his 42nd birthday. The stone had a picture of an extinct fish carved onto it, and Cabrera became fascinated by what he had been given. He soon sought out two brothers who dealt in pre-Incan artifacts and purchased over 300 stones from them. He then found a farmer called Basilio Uchuya who claimed he had found a huge hoard of the stones in an unknown cave. By the 1970s, Cabrera had built up a collection of over 11,000 stones. After word got out about this extraordinary discovery, the press and other researchers became interested and tried to get to the truth about where the cave was and the authenticity of the stones. The interest even puts the Peruvian government under pressure to make sure the sale of these stones was lawful according to national regulations, and resulted in the police arresting Basilio for illegally selling the stones. Under pressure from the police and facing many years in prison, Basilio changed his story on how he acquired the stones, and claimed he had carved 15,000 of them himself, carving the pictures with a dentist drill with inspiration from comics, magazines and books. Basilio later withdrew the forgery story, saying he only said that to avoid imprisonment for illegally selling archaeological artifacts. However, this is far from the end of the matter. Cabrera refused to believe the stones were fake, writing a book on his theories, and argued that the stones show how humans originated from another planet and are at least 405 million years old. He argued that for Basilio to have made the amount of stones he had, he would have had to produce one every day for 40 years. Cabrera later opened a museum and displayed his collection of Ica stones. This drew interest from all over the world, with many believing the discovery of the stones proved that humans lived in proximity of dinosaurs, and it contradicted evidence that dinosaurs lived 65 million years before mankind. Others believed in the ancient astronaut theory, and that the stones prove the existence of an advanced alien civilization that brought humans to Earth from another planet. Of course, there are skeptics that claim if ancient, technologically and advanced humans did exist, there would be much more evidence than just stones. They also question the depictions of the dinosaurs as inaccurate based on the modern day knowledge of them. What makes the stones even harder to call credible or hoaxes is that they apparently do not have organic matter in them, and without this, they can only be dated according to the strata layer in which they were found. But because Basilio has never revealed where the cave is that he found them, the whole thing remains a mystery. The stones are still displayed in the Ica Museum in Peru, and I would love to know if anyone has actually seen them. The Nazca Lines. The mysterious Nazca drawings can be found in Peru, around 200 miles southeast of Lima, in an area of desert where it rains less than an inch every year, and the rust-red landscape of the rocks and sand is fairly uninspiring from the ground. However, from a plane, the scene takes a whole new look, with simple geometric shapes and designs etched into the ground. Some of them cover areas of up to 30 miles, some of them are just lines, while others are recognizable creatures. In 1926, Peruvian archaeologist Toribio Mejia Zespir was one of the first people to study them, but it was the involvement of commercial flying that brought the lines to the public's attention, and the full scale of these huge drawings was realized. It's known that they have been created by the removal of 12 to 15 inches of the rusty coloured rock that covers the desert, which then exposes a light coloured rock, creating the geoglyphs. So what's the difference between these and the controversial crop circles? While it's known because of the lack of rain in the area, the creations have stayed intact for hundreds or even thousands of years. Studies over the years have theorized the lines represent some kind of astronomical and calendrical purpose, with one calling them the largest astronomy book in the world. Although it wasn't until the 1970s that a different theory was put forward by American researchers who suggested they were most likely created to lead the Nazca people to places where water and fertility rituals were performed, and were created to show the gods above their wants, spiders and monkeys being associated with water, and hummingbirds with fertility. However, these are just theories, and to date, the Nazca lines, despite their enormous size, are still a mystery. There is of course another explanation. It has been suggested that the lines are linked to once again ancient aliens, and they are UFO runways, where alien craft have landed and took off. It sounds hard to believe, but with all these subjects, many do believe the only explanation for all these mysteries is the concept that intelligent extraterrestrial life visited Earth in ancient times, and were influential in the development of modern cultures, technologies, and religions. It's a very interesting topic, and although we can save the ancient aliens talk for another video, what's your thoughts? So, that's 5 mysterious ancient glyphs, writings, and artifacts. I hope you've enjoyed